All right. Hey, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. We'll give a few more minutes just to let everyone in. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you being here. So the way we're going to operate this today is I am going to give a speech. I am then going to have a community member speak. They'll be in Spanish first, and then in English. And then after that, I'll take questions. Is that good with everyone? Perfect. So first off, hello, my name is Mark Pinsley. I'm the controller of Lehigh County. As an American citizen, I have watched the events unfold in Minneapolis with a growing sense of alarm and sadness. What began only 1 year ago as a clearly defined mission to secure our nation's borders, and deport violent felons, is now claiming innocent lives and sending armies of masked federal agents to occupy our cities. As Lehigh County Controller, I've watched Minneapolis, but worry about Lehigh Valley. There were no pepper balls flying across Hamilton Street on my way to work today, but that's no guarantee that they won't be tomorrow. We've all watched ICE invade schools, churches, workplaces, and homes across the country with an impunity that borders on arrogance. Intimidation is not law enforcement. But if Trump can send 3,000 masked ICE agents to occupy Minneapolis, what's one county auditor going to do about it here in Lehigh County? Well, for starters, we can give them a taste of their own medicine. We're going to deport ICE. It's come to our attention that the Department of Homeland Security has been leasing office space in one of our government buildings for nearly the last 3 years. I say leasing, but the recent review has discovered that they've neglected to pay their rent, any rent at all, for nearly the last 3 years. I sent a memo to the county administration advising them of what is happening, and I asked them to send 2 messages to Kristi Noem. You're evicted. Pack your masks, tear gas, pepper balls, and hit the road. You owe Lehigh County $115,000 in back rent. Since Congress gave you a $75 billion appropriation, you can probably take it out of petty cash, but we'd like it by the end of the week. I have also asked the administration to establish a database that allows citizens to report misdeeds of ICE. Records will be kept, injustices noted, specific agents' names remembered. And one day, those who treated people unlawfully will be held accountable. Do we think this will stop ICE from leaving their boot marks all over the Constitution? Probably not. But now they have felt what it's like to be on the business end of deportation themselves. They might learn a few manners and wipe their feet before stepping on it. We'll be watching. And now I'd like to invite in the community member who is going to speak.
Buenas tardes y gracias a todos por estar aquí hoy. Mi nombre es Diana Espinal y soy líder miembro de Make the Road Pennsylvania, una organización que lucha por la dignidad y la justicia de las comunidades inmigrantes y de clase trabajadora. Hoy se cumple 1 año desde que Trump asumió el cargo, 1 año desde que comenzó a utilizar su policía secreta para aterrorizar a nuestras comunidades. 1 año desde que comenzó a contratar compañías tecnológicas, propiedad de multimillonarios, para ayudar a su vigilancia y secuestro de familias de la clase trabajadora. Y sin embargo, casi el 70% de los estadounidenses dicen que nuestras condiciones económicas solo están empeorando. Como era de esperar, la crueldad de Trump no ha hecho nada para mejorar la crisis de asequibilidad que enfrentan los estadounidenses de la clase trabajadora. Y ahora ICE está tratando de usar nuestra propiedad del gobierno local para organizar sus secuestros. El Consejo Municipal de Allentown ya se ha puesto de pie y afirmó que la ciudad que llamamos hogar no colaborará con ICE. Ahora debemos demostrar eso con nuestras acciones. ICE es una agencia deshonesta creada a raíz del 9/11, una agencia que nunca tuvo que existir, operando fuera de la ley y sin rendición de cuentas. Las redadas militarizadas de ICE, las prácticas brutales de detención y el desprecio por el debido proceso han destrozado familias, devastado comunidades y violado los derechos de inmigrantes y ciudadanos estadounidenses. Exigimos que ICE deje de usar nuestros edificios gubernamentales para su organización, pero, más importante aún, exigimos que ICE rinda cuentas y que se retire de nuestras comunidades para siempre. Damos gracias a el controlador del condado, Mark Pinsley, y a nuestro ejecutivo de condado, Josh Sengley. Diana Espinal.
Deletrea.
Oh, Daianal.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm Angelo Ortega. I'll be translating for Diana. I'm a member of Make the Road, Pennsylvania, an organization that fights for dignity and justice in immigrant and working class communities. Today marks 1 year since Trump took office. 1 year since he began utilizing his secret police to terrorize our communities. 1 year since he began contracting tech companies owned by billionaires to aid his surveillance and kidnapping of working class families. And yet, nearly 70% of Americans say our economic conditions are only worsening. Unsurprisingly, Trump's cruelty has done nothing to improve the affordability crisis that working class Americans are facing. And now, ICE is attempting to use our local government property to set up for their kidnappings. Allentown City Council has stood up and affirmed that the city we call home will not collaborate with ICE. Now, we must prove that not only with our actions, but with our words. ICE is a rogue agency created in the wake of 9/11, an agency that never had to exist, operating far outside the law and without accountability. ICE's militarized raids, brutal detention practices, and disregard for due process have torn apart families, devastated communities, and violated the rights of both immigrants and U.S. citizens. We demand ICE stop using our government buildings for their staging. But more importantly, we demand ICE to be held accountable and be removed from our communities for good. I'd like to thank our County Controller, Mark Pinsley, for having us, and our County Executive, Josh Siegel, for making these arrangements today. Thank you for taking this action on our behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm willing to take any questions now. Yeah, Tom.
Is there, I believe you said the contract an issue here in the Department of Homeland Security.
Yep.
Do we know in fact that ICE has been staging anything or that ICE personnel have been using this space?
Well, what I do know is that when we got an email back, the new contract had to be signed by ICE. So it would have been Lehigh County and ICE.
When did that email come back? And when would that new contract, what term, the time span would that have been?
Yeah, so it would be for the next 3 years. However, like we don't have an existing contract. So the one contract was supposed to come up in September, then we would have had to restart it. Well, I'm not sure exactly what was happening, but I imagine they were trying to get a contract. And my office got an email. Oops, sorry. I'll let you do it. That's okay. My office got an email specifically saying that ICE would be the signer of the next contract.
Very sorry.
No, that's okay. I can move over a little bit too.
Is it clear that ICE would be inheriting that, or is there clear language they are currently is anybody?
It is being occupied. I can't say that an ICE agent is there in this moment. What I can say is, as I've said, the contract would have to have been signed by ICE, which indicates to me that they're operating there. Yes.
We've heard that the majority of what they're doing out of that particular location of the department is mostly like human trafficking investigations, and that the field office in Philadelphia is much more important to actually deportations and traditional ICE enforcements. Is that your understanding? And if that is the case, then why go after them if they're doing human trafficking investigations?
Yeah, so I definitely do believe prior that there was more human trafficking going on, or investigation into human trafficking. The issue that we've seen is that Kristi Noem has changed a lot of the agents to be very focused on ICE. We don't need to have anybody here, and especially if we're going to be signing a contract that says ICE specifically, we don't need that.
As a follow-up, the Lehigh Valley voted overwhelmingly in favor of Donald Trump and the policies that he has brought to the table. How do you know you're executing the will of the people if they voted so overwhelmingly in his favor?
Well, it's pretty easy that they haven't paid their bills. So I don't think anybody who, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, if they're not paying their bills, they shouldn't be here.
But your language is politically charged. It sounds like it's more about the politics and sending a message to the administration rather than a bad tenant.
Yeah, so the two things can exist at the same time, I believe, right? So first off, they're a bad tenant, they should go. The second thing is, I don't think that the county should be associated with anything even close to ICE in our buildings. Like, our residents are our residents. We should be supporting working class people no matter what. And obviously I disagree with the president's motives here. And we've seen what Kristi Noem has said about people being leeches. And her language around immigrants is intolerable as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
In your release that EHS has been in that office since 2020.
Yep.
So why now? Why is this just coming?
Yeah, so we actually didn't know. So the controller's office didn't know. Basically, what typically ends up happening when a contract is signed, that contract goes into our computer system, then we actually understand that there should be revenue coming in. Because this was never signed, there was no ability, there's just no notice of that happening. Because of the change in administration, we've had some resignations. One of the resignations was the director of general services. After that happened, we got a tip saying that ICE was being staged there and that DHS was there and that they hadn't paid. We then followed up to see whether that was true or false, and it is true.
Follow-up question. I talked with the district.
Yeah.
They've been working directly with some of the federal authorities out of this office. On some of their investigation operations, they said like human trafficking, drug enforcement. I mean, so it sounds like this was pretty well known, at least that they were in the county office building, the district attorney was working with.
That could be, but like it wasn't coming to my office because there was no revenue associated to it, which is why we wouldn't know. Once we found out there was revenue associated to it, that's when we found out. And look, I appreciate the work the DA is doing, and I hope that he continues to do that work. Nevertheless, they don't need to be in our building, and especially if they're not paying. Yes.
There were, I know you and I have had this conversation in the past, but I'm sure people. Yeah.
Sure.
County commissioners, county executive's office, to an extent, the district attorney, they're the ones who their offices are tasked with crafting policy about how this space is used. I'm sure that there are people listening or will be reading about this who may react saying, why is the county controller commenting on policy? Isn't the job to stick to the numbers? So I gotta ask what your response would be to people who might be wondering why you're dictating what policy should be in place and who should or shouldn't be using this.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I can only make recommendations about policy, which is what I've done. But I'm very specific about the numbers and how much they owe us, and they haven't paid us in 3 years. So that gives me this opportunity to talk to you guys and let you know what's happening. And look, the one thing about being a controller is you get to see the numbers, you get to see what's going on, and you get to comment. And I think that I've always done that, as you know. And I make sure that my feeling is that my job is to bring visibility to what's going on in the county. And I've always been for the people and not the powerful. And that's what I'm doing here today.
And if there are skeptics who would say that you renounced your intention to run for Congress.
Yep.
What would you say to people? Like, do you think that this is more politically motivated?
Well, at the end of the day, they didn't pay their bills, so they could say whatever they want. But I mean, this is very clearly they haven't paid their bills in 3 years. We just found out, and I am making sure that everyone knows about that. Yes.
The county signed a contract. Is it part of the contract that you pay us monthly, annually?
Yes.
Who would sign that contract?
Who would have signed it?
Who would have?
Yeah, so it should have been the county executive at that time, which would have been Phil Armstrong. But the contract at that time was owned by the director of general services. And the two of them never came to an agreement, meaning the Department of Homeland Services as well as general services. There was obviously disagreement about the contract, and therefore it never got signed.
But it was occupied.
But it was occupied. That should never have happened. I mean, I'm speculating at this point, but the speculation that I have is that for some reason, the Department of Homeland Security needed to get a space right away. And the administration at the time was open to that and allowed it to happen. That's why there was a 10-month memorandum of agreement. And then after that, a contract should have been signed.
Do you think the county's going to get this?
Do I think so? I think it's going to be a fight, is what I think.
So now there's going to be.
I imagine. I mean, like what I would hope is that the federal government would pay their bill. They know they owe it. They know they've been there.
How much is it a year? You know?
I don't have that off the top of my head. No. Yeah, I apologize. Yep. Yes, sir. It was approved by the commissioners. I believe it was a unanimous vote, in fact. No, so it was reversed from what you just said. So there was, correct, exactly. They approved it. They approved the memorandum of understanding, and then there should have been a contract that followed within 10 months later, and that never happened. And my understanding is that the memorandum of agreement, rather, was signed by somebody at the Department of Human Services who did not have the authorization to sign it. I'm sorry, Homeland Security, yes. Yeah.
If DHS and the feds were to pay up on their bill, would they be welcome back in that space or back into Lehigh Valley?
I mean, you would have to ask the administration that, but I would not welcome them back.
So at this point, it's still being occupied.
As of today, it's still being occupied. The administration has gotten a notification about the letter that I've sent and that I've copied you guys on. And now it's up to them to make a determination as to whether they want to allow ICE to continue to be, or Department of Homeland Security to be in our buildings.
Where is the building?
Yeah, so I have not announced where that is. It is public information if you want to go look it up, but I just prefer to keep everyone safe at this moment. So I just have decided not to say where it is.
We tried to look it up. Like, if it is public, why not just share it with us?
I just choose not to. Like, there's so many things going on in today's world. People are being shot. I'm just not comfortable doing that.
Legal obligation to have them removed? Or
Yeah.
you just got to let them stay there?
In my opinion, they have a legal obligation to remove them. I mean, this is taxpayer money that they're taking up space on, right? That's maintenance, everything that's going on in there. So they should remove them. I mean, unless they choose to say this is a grant that they're giving the federal government.
You know how big the office is? How many members of DHS are in there working?
I don't know. But the information, not in terms of the number of people working, the information about how big the office space is in the memorandum of understanding, I don't remember what it is offhand, but that information is public.
Say there's staging there, you're not talking about the guys who are seeing that. Body armor. These are investigators, as people were saying earlier, who handle basically cases about human trafficking. These are guys in suits and ties.
We don't know that.
Well, we don't see them.
Yeah, I don't know that. Like from my perspective, first off, they're not paying their bill. Secondly, we shouldn't provide them with any ability from a county level, right? I mean, there are other buildings that they can go rent. There are other things that they can go do. Shouldn't have anything to do with the county. We should be completely separate from this organization. Any other questions? Hey, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys coming out here. Thank you.